you doing, young lady? My God, you're beautiful. Are you with that other man, that big motory guy? No.
I'm just hanging out.
Oh, Jesus, you're walking around by yourself? Who's with you?
It's me.
If I was 100 years younger, you'd be alive. Where are you from?
I live in Austin, Texas right now.
Oh, good. Are you familiar with InfoWars and Alex Jones? They're home base there.
Really?
Yeah, and the guys have, huge in the other than corporate-owned news media. He's got to have 50, 60 million listeners a week now.
InfoWars?
Yes.
Okay, and they're in Austin, Texas?
Yeah.
And they're about getting real news out, educating people?
Here's why he can do it. He doesn't take corporate money. He doesn't take outside advertising.
Really?
He sells his own products. He's put together tremendous products, so top of the notch, sells them at the lowest prices he can, so the people... I take his supplements. I'm 70 years old, though. I couldn't be coming out here flirting with beautiful young ladies like yourself if I wasn't taking them. They're top notch. So he funds himself, but because he has no one talking over his shoulder going, you can't say that.
Yeah.
You're going to hear about poison vaccines and GMO and chemtrails and 9/11.
You're going to hear about the real stuff.
Yeah, he's going to talk about what happened in Vegas, why we can't get any answers in Sandy Hook. He's going to talk about was that unfortunate school shooting. There were people that call because he has a call-in show. There were people calling into his show that were eyewitness, that were telling things that you're not hearing in the news. How there were two shooters. There's students that were there that on video saying we went down the one entrance and there was a gunman down there shooting at, driving everybody up. So we went down the other way to go out the other entrance, and there was another shooter coming up this way, driving us up together.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
There's so much going on that they don't want us to know about. It's endless. It's disturbing.
That's why I'm out here, dear. This is a disturbed person you're looking at. This is what a disturbed person. Are you also from Austin?
Actually, yeah. I'm from California. I moved to Austin,
That seems to be a pretty good progression. The liberals screw up. The liberals seem to screw up a beautiful place with their crappy politics, and then they find some conservative place that's running, all cylinders, and move in and then screw it up.
I think both sides suck pretty bad, though. If you want to look at Republican towns, you got to go find the trailer parks with the meth everywhere. So
now let's not be bigoted now. Who's not being bigoted now?
I'm so
where is that
I hate
generalization?
Almost equally. Almost equally.
I can understand that because you understand I belong to the piss party.
Yeah, I don't think either political party gives a shit about anyone.
Well,
they don't have to. They make money. They don't.
Well, in essence, you see, our founding fathers didn't want us to have political parties.
Yeah.
They were against them.
Yeah?
Yes.
They were against the two-party system. They weren't against parties in general, but the two-party system.
There were a lot more parties back in the day, but
the
point is, it's easier to control people if you can put them into two boxes.
Yeah.
Instead of having a bunch of different, all us being individuals, thinking for ourselves and not being, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican, I'm an independent. It's still, that's boxing. That's putting us in little boxes. Once they put us, then they get the white fighting the black, fighting the yellow, fighting the red, and everybody fighting the police. And in the meantime, the people that coordinated all of this get away with their crimes, like this one right here that is showing now with the technology they used to spy on us. We're now hanging them. Because with the memo that came out, the Nunes memo, proving that this woman paid for the dirty dossier that started the investigation on Donald Trump, using the Department of Justice and the FBI to help her. So we've actually had, and why this isn't front page news on the corporate-owned news, right? Because this is much bigger than Watergate ever was. This is using the Defense Department, the FBI. Think of that awesome power. That is the most powerful thing you have in a government, is the arm of the authorities. So taking that, weaponizing it, using it, that's a police state. This stuff goes on, it used to go on in Stalin's day in Nazi Germany. That's what this woman started. That's what Obama put in place.
I don't think she started it.
No, she did. She started the dossier. She paid for the dossier. That's come out in the memo. We know that. And then you have, let's look at this. I mean, this is why I'm out here, because this is absolutely crazy, right? You've got, though it's come out, this is the most goofiest thing about this memo, is that, or a FBI agent, right here, or who was on the anti-Trump Russian investigation, is not only friendly with Steele, who's the guy that made up the dossier, right, that we got from England, or his wife worked with Fusion GPS on opposition research. So she was actually writing up the phony dossier, getting paid hundreds of thousands of dollars from Clinton. Her husband working on the anti-Trump investigation. This is like the biggest conflict of interest you've ever wanted to see in your life.
But if she did all of this, then why hasn't she been arrested or charged yet? I mean, if Trump is the president and we have a Republican House...
That is a wonderful question. I'm so glad you asked it. It's because our Justice Department is so corrupted by previous administrations that the very top of them, you go to the top of the FBI, you're looking at the top 5-6 people are all corrupt. They're all corrupt.
To believe that, you have to believe that the president, the majority in the House, don't have enough power to press charges against one person. You know what I mean? Like, there's got to be...
That's true. If you listen, don't take my word for this.
Okay.
Take the word of President Kennedy. If you go to YouTube, right, and Google the speech that got Kennedy killed, it's a short speech. Listen to it. And in there, he tells us, the people, about this is his words, a shadow government, bigger than all other governments, that is never held accountable. They own everything. They own the media. They own the entertainment. They own the sports. They own the schools. So this is President Kennedy.
Yeah.
2.5 months later, they blew his head off. They buy it for exposing the shadow government. Things like the Illuminati, the Bilderberg Group, the Club of Rome, the CFR, these things exist. They're not figments of some conspiracy theory imagination. They are real as death. I mean, have you ever heard of Bohemia Grove or the Bilderberg Group? Have you ever heard of the Bilderberg Group? Once a year, the top 120 or so of the Western power brokers meet in secret every 4 years in North America, somewhere in the world, right? They get together for 4 to 6 days, and they're the ones that go, okay, you're going to be president of that country this year. We're going to go to war. You guys will die. We're going to sacrifice those guys. They're the big shows. No, the policymakers go there. Members of our government go there or went there. Donald Trump never went.
He was too busy grabbing people by the pussy. We had other things to do.
Oh, you're so shallow. You were really shallow.
Listen.
No, you're a very shallow woman. So I'm giving you real solid, hard evidence, and you're going right to the gutter.
No, I'm just saying, he was
I know, you're just saying. It's also, I'm just saying. So the Bilderberg Group, look them up. Just look them up. Look at some of the information that we have on them now, because we got the internet, so people are learning things. Some people, and
let me
finish.
I've grabbed a few pussies. I just asked first,
Well, that's the point, isn't it? That's the point. Thank you. That's the point. No one ever said that Donald Trump just arbitrarily grabbed pussies from women that didn't want their pussies grabbed.
I I feel like the concept isn't super like.
Oh, the concept. Oh, well, you get out of the morality gutter because it has nothing to do with governance, all right? So keep your liberal bullshit out of this. I'm talking about the Bilderberg Group,
Yes.
the power brokers that really run things. Now, Newt Gingrich was asked when he was running, why does his own party not even like him? And he says, because he doesn't belong to any of the secret societies. He's never been to Bohemian Grove. He's never been to a Bilderberg meeting. Doesn't belong to the CFR. We haven't got anything on him. So when you have enemies, like even his own party, when you have enemies like all of the media, Hollywood, Silicon Valley, the Pope, and then the FBI, the Department of Justice, working against you, and you still get elected, that means the will of the people on the side of America, and the liberal bullshit is over. Because Obama put all these criminals in place. The reason we have a Justice Department that is just, packed 6 deep with corruption. The rank and file are great. I speak to them out here. You don't think I don't speak to me? Oh, yeah. And they're going, well, what's the problem? How come we're not seeing any indictments? They're coming, man. We're working our way up the food chain. Because when you got the people at top that are the criminals, are supposed to be the ones that are giving you, where do you go when the cops are corrupt? Who do you turn to? In the past, we had revolutions. Do we really want to go there? No, we want to do it for the courts, but we're not seeing it in the courts. Why? Because Obama packed the courts for 8 years with communists. Pure socialist communists. People who do not want truth, do not want justice. They want to stay in the minority, but they want to be in charge. Because the end game, the little girl, is this, and I'm going to really, really hit you here.
Little girl.
You are to me. Real end game is this. This really comes down to it. Okay?
I just think that you think Trump cares about you and doesn't give a no one gives a about you, but for some reason you've
then why is that? What? Then tell me, why did he do this? Why did he do this?
Because it's fun for him. He has money. He has
fun. His family just got sent poison. Tell me where that's fun.
What happens to all the presidents? So he has money.
So he went into this knowing his family's going to get poisoned for the fun of it? You liberals are just absolutely out of your minds.
I'm a libertarian. Excuse me.
Libertarian? Oh, Jesus Christ. Who'd you go for last time? Where's Aleppo Johnson? Yeah, wonderful. Probably just another place for, Bernie Sanders people to go to. Regardless, lady,
lady, step up from girl. I got it.
Yes,
moving
indeed.
up in the world.
This is where it's all coming down to, right here. The only reason the elites I've been talking about, the Bilderbergers.
You don't know that the elites didn't decide to place Trump to make you it sounds like you might be
he was the last person in the world they wanted in. The last person in the world they wanted in. Our will, the free thinkers, our will, the individuals, the ones that are not looking for government for the answer. I had people that have never voted in their life, that were in their 50s, coming up to me and saying, for the first time in my life, I'm voting this man. Because he's saying that if I had a nickel for every time I heard this, he's saying things I think.
You're being tricked, man. You're being tricked into thinking that Trump gives a about you. No one gives a about you, especially not the government. You gotta accept it.
So yeah, he's not doing it because he gave up his salary, so he's just doing it for fun. And he's putting his family in mortal danger for the fun of it. Is that you want to go on record?
They're surrounded by. I would love to. I would go on record and say that because it sounds fun. If you already have money, you have women, you have he's already done everything else in life.
So he's just doing this for his pure ego, putting his family's lives on the line. He could have just retired. He didn't have to be. The guy was living at the top of the world. No one was trying to kill him. No one was calling him a racist. No one was calling him a misogynist. Yes, I do. Because for the past several decades, I've watched my country dissolve into this of lies, where people are getting socially engineered and absolutely.
You're pretty absorbed in the facade of it as well.
And I mean, Trump used to be a liberal.
Trump used to be
pretty
but even back
outspoken liberal.
then, even without the internet, I knew at the beginning when they killed Kennedy, something was wrong. What they were telling me isn't what my eyes saw. It's like 9/11. Watching those buildings come down and then listen and tell me why they came down didn't match what my brain was telling me.
I mean, I feel you on that. The government lies, the media lies, but I think the solution is just less government, not like putting random new people in government. Like, I don't think that'll get better.
I look at my girlfriend. I like her. I think she's very smart.
You just had a mood swing.
No.
You've liked her this whole conversation. I'm on to you. I get it.
The whole smaller government thing. But you understand, it'd be nice if we get there overnight. Believe me, I've been looking for it all my life. Our country started out with the least amount of government that was available at the time to allow us to still govern ourselves. So, I mean, but that obviously got corrupted, like all democratic societies have a shelf life of about 250 years. It takes that long for the crooks to figure out how to work their way up to the top, and then they take over. They get into the top of the FBI.
Seems like kind of a wild estimate. Like, America hasn't even existed much longer than that, right?
Well, I said the shelf life and times speed up. I mean, what you can know now because of instant communication that's what I think is going to revolutionize us. That's why I want to see it's a two-sided sword. They made it to spy on us, but it's also exposing them, and we're using that tool to be able to communicate with each other, so they become less relevant. We don't have to listen to them to find out what's going on. We can talk directly to each other. We're going, screw that. Let's not do that then.
It's exposing what's going on.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. With the crimes that she committed and the FBI agents that were colluding with her committed, they did it on record. We got their texts. We got them talking to one another about sedition. Now, whatever, at least this guy stopped the TPP, because that it was all going to globalization. The Trans-Pacific Partnership, the NAFTA, all of it about forming economic blocks that remove us further and further from the economic decisions that they wind up making for us. Right? Centralization, bad. Individuality, good. Right? Very basic. So, how you doing, Chief? He, being a nationalist, breaking up that, guiding us out of the Paris Accords, that whole, climate hoax going down, trying to, tax us.
Pleasure to meet you.
What?
I can't do the climate thing.
I can't. I helped start the Institute for Environmental Alternatives, Professor Ron Cohn, 1971. I have forgotten more about the climate than most people know. I have asked alleged experts in the field a simple, basic question about it, and they can't answer me. And it's this. If CO2 is the big boogeyman in there, right? Ooh, gee, there's too much CO2 everywhere, right? Okay, how much of it, percentage-wise, is in the atmosphere right now? Have you got an answer? No. So again, I don't feel bad. I've asked experts, and they look at me with the deer in the headlights and guess. 20%. So the last idiot I spoke to said 100%. Screw you. So here, this is how much, and it's been this way for a long time, even before the Industrial Revolution, right? 0.04%. And of that 0.04%, to the best that we can measure, because when it gets down this small, it's hard to measure, right? 97% of it is said to be naturally occurring. So we have nothing to do with that 0.04%. So it's like a flea fart on the back of a dog. But why do they go ahead and make it, ooh, you got a carbon footprint, we got to reduce that? Because it's the one thing they can pin on us. And to have a world government, they need a world tax. So they say, you got a carbon footprint, we got to reduce that. And in the meantime, we're going to go flying around in our Learjets. And, talking about how much you're using. It's a scam. You want to know what really affects this climate? Do you see that big yellow thing up there in the sky? When that thing burps, duck. When it has the solar flares, right now it's expanding. That's why we're getting a lot of fluctuation, more earthquakes, because, you know, the Earth is now wobbling more because that thing's expanding. Look, this is just basic science. You can go to the things and look them up, but if you're going to go listen to the, you know, the idiots that are talking to you on the mainstream news about climate change, all you're going to hear is flat out lies because they're in on it. They've dug themselves a hole so deep. They put themselves so far behind in this lie that they got no choice. They got to keep lying. They can't come out with the truth.
I have a question.
Thank you.
If there is, which I believe, a shadow government that overrules everything to an extent that they can kill a president with a snap of a finger, that's how powerful they are. If that's a thing, which I agree, then what can you do?
Expose them. Look like cockroaches.
But people already know about it.
No, not enough. Here's the deal. Because of their power, they have sway over a vast majority of the people. Because most people don't have time. You know, they work hard. They come home, they want to eat something, they plop themselves down and watch some late-night comedian tell them what's going on. That's all they know. And I don't blame them. I mean, that's what they get fed. They're actually being programmed. They don't call it programming for nothing.
It's programming.
Yeah, it's programming.
We've been domesticated.
But that's been thank you. But we're breaking out of that. Why? Because the tools they were using against us are now waking up to and using them against them. We know how to use a search engine to get past that. Even though they're trying to block truth seekers, we still can talk directly to one another, you know, on YouTube or Instagram. And because we keep on doing this, we keep on expanding the talk, they can't censor all of it. It becomes absolutely ridiculous. Then it shows, oh my God, and that's what they've been doing. I'm censored on YouTube. But I'm still out here doing this, and eventually it's going to break through. Why? Because they can't.
So?
Yes.
Against something so powerful that they can kill a president.
Nothing.
In a moment's notice?
Yes. It's all crumbling. I think for the first. Yes. I think it's all crumbling. Why? Again, for what I'm talking about, the exposure. Remember, we wouldn't have known nothing about the crimes that were committed in the Department of Justice.
I don't care about any of that stuff. What I care about is darkness versus light.
Yeah. And they're having light shed on them.
Yes, so
this is when I'm out here speaking to people.
Yes.
People going by, what are they talking about? What's so passionate? Why is this man talking to this pretty girl? Why is she so enthralled with this conversation?
Yeah.
So they listen, they pick up a phrase, the Bilderberg Group or Bohemia Grove. They go, gee, I'm going to look that up. If we reach a small percentage of them, that's all we need. So it only takes a small percentage of us to break out of the trance, and we overwhelm them.
See, I'm a bit conflicted because there's a part of me that believes that we can rise above and break through it and it's crumbling, and then there's a part of me that believes that it's built into the matrix of this world to have that, and that it's always going to be there, and there's always going to be a shadow government, and there's always going to be an Illuminati, there's always going to be these things, this darkness.
Then give me a reason why we should not fight against this. Here's the numbers. We outnumber these evil bastards like, 500 million to 1. So it only takes a small percentage of us to break out of the trance, and we overwhelm them.
See, I'm a bit conflicted because there's a part of me that believes that we can rise above and break through it and it's crumbling, and then there's a part of me that believes that it's built into the matrix of this world to have that, and that it's always going to be there, and there's always going to be a shadow government, and there's always going to be an Illuminati, there's always going to be these things, this darkness.
Then give me a reason why we should not fight against that darkness, even if we know we're going to lose. What difference does it make? Why would you not fight against that darkness regardless? I'm out here speaking the truth to the best I can, my knowledge that I can. I'm in the public, ready to be ridiculed.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just so incredible, which is why I wanted to talk to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very flattered.
It's very brave.
Well, I don't know. We're stupid or foolish or whatever.
I think it's great.
Well, thank you. I think it has to be more or less. It's what else can you do? I mean, what else is there left to do? I'm a political satirical cartoonist, so I want to use my work.
Oh, okay.
To get a message across, because it's even though it's a bit edgy, it's a little bit less crass than I am at times. But so this grabs the attention. People come over and they want to know, what is this? It starts conversations. And again, this is just percentage-wise. Again, we might affect, I don't know, let's say 10 people that came by. Maybe one of them will go look it up.
Yeah.
Okay? But this video might go viral. I mean, 500 people might watch it, and then they'll share it, and, sort of mushroom there. So maybe at the end, maybe 20,000 people will watch this pleasant conversation I had with you and pick up and then go look up themselves.
Yeah.
And go, so, it's saying one person can have an effect. And the more you get into this, the more you step into that light, the more you do, the more you speak out, whether it be a comment online, or supporting people that are speaking out, like if you got a job that might be in jeopardy, you're raising a family, you don't want to put them in jeopardy, then support people that are putting themselves out there, because every little bit you do is going to, again, we're fighting the darkness, right?
Yeah.
And how do you fight darkness? With light.
It's so easy to stay quiet, though. It's so easy for people not to say a single
thing. Not anymore.
To detach.
Not anymore. Not for you, it won't be.
Sometimes I can't help but speak out, but other times, to be honest, it's really, really hard for me to care about politics at all right now.
Well, again,
really
it's not.
hard.
I understand that also, but we weren't talking so much about politics again. We were talking about spirituality.
No, you and I were talking about.
But we're also talking about the fact that there is a spirituality involved with our predicament, where we find ourselves in history. These people do have influence over what happens to us, so we have to be aware of that, whether they be good, bad, indifferent, or whatever the hell they're there for. Because they have that power over us, we have to at least pay attention to them. So if we find out now, if you want to, they didn't expect him to get in. I always judge a lot of people by who their enemies are, and this guy had all the right enemies. They would be my enemies.
Again, I don't care about. I want to care. I really do. So before I moved to Austin, I lived in the woods in Maine without cell service for like 4 months.
Jesus.
Just
no
this
wonder
summer.
you're so sane.
And so I came out of it, and so I rejected society for a good long while. And before that, I just drove around and lived in my van for a few months.
Wow.
And so I just unplugged for almost all of 2017.
Wonderful.
And I'm coming back in, and it's so hard for me to care.
Okay.
It's so hard for me to want to learn names and what's going on, because it's just so heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, especially coming from that kind of solitude and
oh yeah. Oh my God. And I went down the river. There was a river.
I need a good trip like that, but I'm so thick in the woods with this fight, I can't do it.
It's so incredible.
Oh yeah. Well, indeed. I'm so glad that you got to do that, because that, I think, is one of the things that need to heal us. I think more people should, get out.
Back to the garden?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Again, one of the bad sides about the technology is that it removes us more and more from the dirt, the earth itself.
Well, it's creating a lot of, it's created this. We now have the opportunity to create our own little world wherever we go. I can hear whatever I want to hear whenever I want to hear. I can look at whatever I want to look at. I can, so now we're just diving deeper into our heads.
It's a virtual world. It's not reality.
Yeah.
They got videos on YouTube of people walking in front of buses looking at their damn iPhone.
Yeah.
Walking off of cliffs, falling down stairs. And that's what I wanted, because again, it's become a zombie society. They don't need us anymore. The elites only need us because they need us slave labor. Well, with the advent of artificial intelligence and robotics and computers, just looking at these machines over here that, doing this work, that's doing the work of what would have taken 1,000 men, 100 years ago, or 100 men just 10 years ago. So, so more and more we have a society that's creating what Henry Kissinger called a useless food eater. And I always like to ask people, well, if you want to think how bad it can be, if the lights went out tomorrow, how long could you live?
I don't know.
Oh, you could probably more than most because you've been out in the country.
Yeah,
so,
I could figure it out. I'd go in the woods and build a fire.
Right, you know how to string a trout line or catch a rabbit or, right.
Figure it out for a while.
You know what's edible and what isn't, You'd be able to survive more than most because you've been in nature for the past year. Been hanging out, pretty much, been away to force yourself. And, of course, the preppers who really are... I know people have been waiting 35 years for this time. Have dug out complete mountains and could keep 200 people alive for 10 years underground if necessary.
I bet there are people that have really gone for that.
Oh, the government itself has whole underground cities. I've talked to people.
I wouldn't doubt
truck drivers. I've talked to truck drivers out here that drove from Denver to Maine underground. All of them.
No.
Yes. You can see the videos. They put cameras on their dashboard.
I do.
For hours.
There's so many thoughts that happen simultaneously for me when I have conversations like this with people because it seems so unfathomable.
And that is part of the reason they keep the people in the trance. If people knew the whole truth of what's really going on, it's demonstrable that people have a hard. It's like they rebel against it immediately. It's repelling to them. It's like, what do you mean? What do you mean our politicians are pedophiles and Satanists who sacrifice babies and drink their blood? You got to be kidding me. No, it's true. Sorry. That's what they are.
The depth of that nightmare. It goes on.
Thank you. The darkness we're fighting that we were talking about exists. So
I think the struggle with millennials and the way to get them involved is you're going to have to make them care about it. I think that's the secret to getting to the younger crowd.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why they rejected Trump is because the vocabulary of millennials right now is about love and kindness and
feelings.
It's all about feelings.
Don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Well, it's so easy to make fun of that. But it's the truth. And so if you want a younger crowd to be involved, you got to make them care.
I talk to a lot of millennials here, have their eyes wide open and not feel fooled by anything. So I have a lot of hope with the millennials. They're not. Again, it's all about pigeonholing. When that other young lady was by, she started pigeonholing. Trying to put me in a box. And I rejected that immediately because that's what they do.
We need fewer boundaries, not more.
It's about separating us. It's about putting us into the boxes, getting us to squabble about things that really don't matter. The feelings are not in the Constitution.
No.
There's no, if we just went by the Constitution and followed the law equally, we'd all be doing well.
Last night before I worked.
Each one of us would reach the status in life that we would like to achieve.
Not everyone plays by that.
Well, because again, they put us in the boxes and got us to go ahead and fight with one another. Black Lives Matter, and
there's nothing that irritates me faster than someone who thinks they have me figured out.
Oh yeah.
Because that's putting you in a box. As soon as you think you have yourself figured out.
It's like a magician's trick. Once you figure out how the magician made that rabbit appear, once you know that, you can't be fooled again. You know how the rabbit, where it's coming from, what the illusion is. So that's it. You can't get fooled again. So once you've known that trick, once you know how they're fooling us, it's hard to not be looking always behind the curtain.
Yeah. So what are some thoughts that you have on how a young woman could get involved and make a difference without getting absorbed into the rabbit hole. Because I want to care, and I can. I'm right there. But once I start caring, then I get really, angry.
Well, I understand that. This is the way I try to show my anger. This is how I project my anger. I put it into my artwork. So, I hopefully it can be turned around. I try to use humor to draw people out and talk about very, emotional things. It means I might hit a button with them.
Yeah.
But I'm also, pretty much all over the place. It's like I want GMOs out of the food. I want to talk about the poison vaccines, fluoride in the water. I want to talk about things that they're not talking about and let people be aware so they become healthy, both in their mind and in their body and spiritually. Because if you're not healthy in your mind and your body, being spiritual, thinking more about food than anything else. So that's, one of them. Sort of like, again, we're all preachers to some extent.
Yeah.
I don't know how you're the one that can put the governor on how deep you want to go. But what I did is I asked myself, well, what are my talents? Well, I'm a political satirical cartoonist, and I'm not afraid to talk to people. So I said, all right, let me use my talents to the best of my ability to further this cause, to get the truth out there, because somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
Right?
Yeah.
So I would just ask you, what are your talents? What is it? Do you like to write? If you're a writer, then, write. Start a blog and just give out your thoughts. Get a YouTube channel and get on YouTube. You'd be beautiful. I'd subscribe to you. And just talk, start conversations up like we're having now. Have people call in or, give questions and pick topics that, are important to you. And because that's how it's being done now. That's why we're defeating them. Because nobody goes to the corporate-owned news but idiots anymore. You have to be a real moron to think you're getting any real news from anything in the corporate-owned news.
Oh, anytime I see it on and I hear what they're talking about, I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah,
this is what millions of people are watching and thinking about?
No, they're turning them off.
No wonder everyone's paranoid and angry and not doing a damn thing but sitting there and watching this channel.
Exactly, which is what the powers that be want you to do. They want to sit there in a trance, putting the stupid, Zuckerberg goggles on us and becoming, a virtual reality existence. That way they can just start plugging us in and starve us to death.
Waking up, feeding us the things that they want us to feed, having us listen to the same music that the people are listening to around us in the car with the same 120 beats per minute, and then we go to a job where you can't wear what you want to wear, you can't say what you want to say, you can't do what you want to do, you just sit in an office, and then you drive home and you do it all over again. An endless loop. That's insane! And they don't even realize that it's that's the definition of insanity. It's like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, but that's what people are doing with their lives.
If you just put that rant on a blog, you'd have 1 million followers before the sun goes down tomorrow.
If I think about it, I get worked up. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yes, thank you. That's what you should be doing. People come out here to accuse me that you're an angry old man. I says, you better believe I'm angry.
Well, and I said to someone,
I belong to the piss party.
Exactly. It's like I said to someone recently. I was like, I just wish people. I was like, I just want people to be happy. And he was like, well, who are you to say people are unhappy? And I'm like, you can tell that they're not happy. You can see it. You can feel it. There are so many. Unhappiness is like an epidemic.
Yeah. Well, again, that's what the powers that be want. They want a bunch of people, struggling. So it's always us against. They always view you as the opponent. But
make it harder to survive so people can't live.
Thank you. Damn, you got it. You are so beautiful. You are wonderful. Man, have I given you a get-out-of-jail-free card from Hillary Clinton yet?
No, but I'd love one.
Well, I'm going to give you 2 of them.
I'll use this if I end up pissing anybody off, badly.
Yeah, I actually had a young lady I gave one of these to. She lives in Arkansas. It's close by, right? 2 months later, she comes back. She comes up to me. She goes, "You won't believe this. You won't believe this." I go, "What?" She goes, "I didn't have my license on me, and I got stopped by a roadblock. I didn't have my license on me, so I showed the cop that."
No way.
He laughed so hard, he said, "Get out of here."
Oh my God, that's hilarious. Thank you. I get 2 even.
Yeah.
And your YouTube.
Yeah.
Great. It was so great to meet you.
Oh. I'm packing up and going home. I cannot top this. And the damn thing I want to do the rest of the day. What is your name?
Vanessa.
Vanessa? Oh, man. Vanessa, would you just email me? Just send me, I'm all here right now. I'm doing this. I started that. Just let me know what you're doing. Because I am definitely going to put you on my YouTube channel. And I hope you do get out there. Because again, look,
I want to.
Well,
That's what I want. I just don't. I don't know how. I don't know what to say. I don't know.
All you need is an iPhone. You can do it with an iPhone now and just hold it in front of you and go, "You know what I think today? This is what I think."
Really?
Yes. It's that easy. And then you download it into your YouTube channel and off it goes. You even live stream. You can carry it around with you. Look at this great conversation
I'll do live stream because I don't want to edit videos. That sounds like a lot of work.
That's indeed. That's what I want to do here eventually, is have cameras that will live stream directly to a screen here, so people can actually see themselves on screen in real time.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then I can, download articles. So if we're like talking about something, like, "Oh, that's bullshit." I go, "Really?" You go,
there you go.
There it is.
And then you have the camera to catch the reactions and see what people are
yes, of course.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we're so used to in our day-to-day lives, people are too afraid to talk about things. So, I mean, for me, when I see someone that's like trying to talk to people, I have to just tune in. I have to see what they're saying.
You are made to get your own YouTube channel and start a blog. You are made for it. I'll help you. I'll point you. I'll turn you on to the people that help me out. That would love to help you out. Because for this reason, you brought it up. The millennials need someone to listen to. They listen to. An old man in a funny outfit, not so much.
I bet tons of millennials stop and listen.
Not so much.
No?
Oh, no, actually, a lot of them do. The ones that, I'm going to attract people like mine, free thinkers, mostly, and, most people don't want to have an argument.
Yeah.
So even if they have something to say, good or bad, they're on vacation, so they don't want to mess with it.
Okay.
Yeah. But then there are a few brave souls that'll come up and challenge me, and I love that.
Yeah. Well, that's how we learn.
I like it. Yes, thank you.
Right. It's like going to the gym. It's like flexing your muscles.
Thank you.
Like,
yes, I want a young man. I was just pulling out of my house right this morning, and this guy's unloading his pickup truck, and he asks a question about that. I go, "Yeah, what crimes you talking about?" So I start going into him, and he introduces himself as a millennial social justice warrior snowflake.
Really?
Yeah.
He said all of that?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
But he was not dissuaded to having a conversation.
Yeah.
In other words, again, a polite conversation because, he's a social justice warrior. Feelings matter. And of course, I'm speaking to him like he's a man. And we're talking about politics as a touchy subject. And like Trump, I ain't going to hold myself back. Screw your feelings.
Yeah.
So, but he rolled with the punches.
He did? Good.
And I said, "Look, you've been really nice asking questions and listening to my rants and all that." I said, "You live here." Told him where I set up. I said, "If you were to come out and have a debate with me, I'd pay you."
Thank you so much.
So how long are you going to be in town? Where are you going to go next? What's on your agenda?
I'm here for a couple days, and then I'm seeing my friend in Alabama, and then I'm driving back to Austin.
people get to know Alex Jones in InfoWars. I think I've been on the show as a guest a few times, and it's a real good news advocate. You get a lot of unvarnished news. Okay. And Godspeed. Please go ahead and give me a jingle, or send an email to me. I'd love to see your blog. I'd love to see. Believe me, you're made for this. Okay?
Are you a hugger?
Huh?
Are you a hugger?
Oh God,
Yeah?
yes.
Yeah?
I was waiting for you to ask.
It's so great talking with you.
Oh, God bless you. Thank you so
Take care.
much.